Can you unpack what some of the stuff you saw? I mean, you know, sometimes I sit there and let's just say I'm going through my news feed and I'll see a mother or a father beating a 6-month-old kid. I'm like, why is this thing here? It's got 52 million views. I'm like, what's the purpose of leaving this on? Or you'll see some bizarre videos that make zero sense for them to be on, but they have those things up there. What did you see? And I can only imagine as a user what that makes me feel when I walk away. What are some of the things you saw?
I saw a lot. The best way to explain it is if you've been to many of these sites, I know some of them are not around anymore, but there were sites such as Best Gore, Chaotic with a K, there was the Live Leaks. There were many other sites that I can think of, like Hard Candy. And you would have these videos mainly of just these horrific acts that could range from child pedophilia to putting fireworks in a dog's mouth and then them setting it on fire, to fathers making their daughters have sex with pigs and then stabbing the pig while the daughter was having sex with the pig. I saw those types of videos day by day. A lot of these had to deal with bestiality, abuse against animals. I also specialized in, during the summer, it was in China, the dog eating festival. So Facebook allowed these different types of videos and photos up there of people that were cooking, skinning, eating dogs alive, because Facebook said that due to the cultural differences, it would be the equivalent of us having pictures of cows or chickens. So they allowed people to basically just mutilate dogs on live stream, through video, through photos, for the sake of this dog food festival that they have in China every summer.
So you see that video, you see the dog eating festival in China. What else was there? So far it's sexual exploitation, animal, any other, are you seeing also killing, are you seeing like live shooting? What else are some of the things you guys are seeing?
There were plenty of live shootings. In fact, a lot of them came from the United States, having to do between gang wars, people that would just have their cell phones out in the middle of a shootout. There would also be a lot of content from the Middle East of people that were stoning pedophiles to death, or people that were basically just beating their kids until they were black and blue on the face and their eyes were popping out of their head. A lot of the content that had to do with in the Middle East usually had to deal with beating women and children or stoning people that they perceived as doing a wrongdoing. There was in fact this one video that I was working with content-wise, and it was a person going to put a gun in another man's mouth and then pulled the trigger. And you could visibly see the innards going through the back of his skull, and I actioned it to delete it. And there was another person that like checks the moderators, checks the checkers, so to speak. And this person made the claim that what we saw was not actually the visible innards going out, but bullet fragments. And I made the argument that it's clearly white. These are skull fragments coming out of the back of their head. They're not silver, they're not bullet holes. And this person actually said that I was wrong, and that video was allowed to stay on there because of that. So a lot more of the content had to deal with sexual exploitation. A lot of it dealt with children that were online, and they were basically being groomed by pedophiles to come meet them in person. There was also an incident with organ harvesting videos. So a lot of these children in other countries were basically being ripped apart alive, and they were having their organs taken out while they were screaming. And I remember how bad it was that day, because everybody had to come into the main area and calm everybody down. There were like people that were throwing up on the floor, like people that were just screaming and crying.
Wait, these are your coworkers who are throwing up on the floor?
Yes. And I remember one of our team leads was telling us how we were going to be getting more graphic content, specifically because Facebook couldn't keep up with the amount that they were getting. So they were telling us that like the floodgates were opening. So we were just going to be dealing with graphic content all the time in my department.
So I got two questions. Let me go to the one first. you know, when cops are known for having a very high divorce rate, because the life of a cop is not the most glamorous life. You know, all we see is, you know, what they're doing. We see it on TV, good cops, bad cops, all this stuff. But they have a very high divorce rate. The life sucks, from what many of my friends talk to me about. A person who's a divorce attorney, you're not going to be able to have, you're constantly talking about divorces. And if you're married, you're going to come home and all you're thinking about is you're probably next, because your entire life is about divorces. I was being recruited to be a special forces at the 18 Delta 5th Group at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and they asked me to go interview with other 18 Deltas. And the guy was telling me, he says, "You ever planning on getting married and falling in love?" I said, "Of course." He says, "Don't ever become special forces, because you can't. You're psychologically going to be off." I'm like, he says, "You're psychologically going to be off. That's going to mess with you." That was one interview. Then I went to the next guy, then the next guy, then the next guy. Some jobs you take, they're going to mess with you. But this is different. There's a difference between you watching, you know, certain videos and certain articles versus seeing this. How are you guys psychologically affected by this when you're doing this 8 hours a day and you're going home? How are you handling that? How's it affecting you?
I was actually doing this 10 hours a day, specifically because they needed extra hands on deck for the extra 2 hours to do this. So I was there always a bit longer than most other people were, specifically because of the department I worked in. Just talking about the mental health of the people that I worked with, it was not good within the building. So there were people that were smearing feces on the bathroom walls. There were people that were defecating in the sinks and the urinals. There were people that would just be like smoking, drinking in the middle of the day in their cars during their break period. There was always talk about people using the break room for sexual activities. There was always people that were bringing in all sorts of illegal substances to take while they were doing this stuff. Just the mental health of my coworkers was not well because of all of this. Specifically going through, we were supposed to have a counselor there, some mental health therapist to help. I was only able to see this person once, and it wasn't even the actual one that worked there. It was someone that was just filling in. And I remember he flat out told me, "I don't know how I can help you guys," because he did not know what to do. He did not see the type of content we were seeing. And he just flat out said, "I'm filling in, but I don't know how to help you guys," because all of this was new to him as well. And I never met the actual person that was supposed to be on board with us every day. And a lot of my coworkers I spoke with never met this person either. I'm not even sure if this person really existed, or maybe this person was only there like a few hours, a few days. So I have no real confirmation on this person ever actually helping somebody through a tough time they've had there.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.